Welcome to Financial Planning Explained. I'm your host, Mike Menninger, certified financial planner, owner and founder of Menninger and Associates Financial Planning. This is the fourth part of a four-part series with my special guest, Mike Guman. Kind of strayed away a little bit from the financial planning, actually, and this is a little bit more entertaining from that perspective, but touch upon some of the financial stuff to a limited extent. We were just chatting a little bit beforehand, and you were talking about during your pro career, which you got drafted in 1980, and you played for 9 years with the Rams, you were part of two strikes.
Yes.
So 82 and 87?
Bringing back a lot of memories from that. Yes, the 82 strike, that was we were negotiating to try and get 55% of the revenue to make sure we got at least that slice of the pie, from the owners, with that. So that was a long one. That was the majority of the season because we only played 9 games that year.
Okay.
I believe. And so we played a couple in the beginning, and then we went out on strike and didn't come back for 57 days. And I remember those days, and it's hard to believe it was that long ago.
I know.
That's 42 years ago.
And then once the strike's over, you still need a week or two to kind of get back into condition, right? Or did they have scabs in between, or just no games?
I'm trying to believe. I don't think there was anything in the 82 strike. I think it was 87 when they had the scabs and brought them in.
Okay.
That's I'd have to look it up. I'd have to Google it, see on that. But
you lived it.
The 87 was for free agency. It was shorter. That was only like 3 weeks.
Well, look at all the revenue that they were losing during that 3-week period.
Yeah.
Right. So that's big. And that's why sometimes you do have some leverage over the owners because they're the ones who are losing all the money.
Yeah.
The loss of a revenue stream. So, all right, what else do I want to ask you? So, how many years, you were in 9 years, how many years did you guys make the playoffs?
In my career there, we were in 6 out of the 9 years.
6 out of the 9 years. How deep did you ever go? Did you ever make it to a Super Bowl?
No, we did not make it to a Super Bowl. We made it to the NFC Championship in 1985. So my rookie year was the year after the team had played in the Super Bowl against the Steelers.
Right.
The last of the Steelers' 4 Super Bowl titles in the 1970s.
Yep.
They lost in a great game. In that 1980 Super Bowl. And we missed the playoffs. No, we did. No, we made the playoffs my first year, my rookie year. We played Dallas in the playoffs and lost to them in a wild card game.
That was Dorsett again.
Yes. Right. Yes, it was. It was, and I don't know if Staubach was the quarterback then. I'm trying to remember.
If not Staubach, then it might have been Danny White.
It might have been Danny. It was probably
two.
Danny White. I think Staubach was gone, by that time. And then we had we didn't make it the next year, and the strike year we didn't make it either. We had a tough season that year, and that's when they fired Ray Malavasi, who was our head coach.
Oh, then they brought in John Robinson?
And then John Robinson came in from USC.
Right.
And
God, I can't believe I remember that. But
no, you're right. That's a great memory. Yeah, we brought in John, and that's the year they drafted Eric Dickerson with a number 3 pick in the draft.
Right.
And John came in and put a whole new attitude, back in with the team, and we got on a nice little run.
A combination from the coach and Eric Dickerson.
With and a lot of the guys who were there who were on the team. There were a lot of new players too, but it was a fun period. It was a lot of fun playing football then. So
in a way, I could see a jealous envy if I'm the running back and they draft Eric Dickerson.
Mm-hmm.
How did that make you feel?
Well, when they drafted him, I knew he was a great player and such. And, I was in a position there, too, with in my first couple of years, I did play running back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
but I knew I probably wasn't going to be there in that position for the bulk of my career. You know, I thought I would probably be shifting around a little. I was a very versatile player.
Right.
I could do a lot of things. I could catch the ball well. I could block. I could run a little bit. You know, with that, so that helped me. You know,
Right.
have security on the team. And you know, Eric was just such a special player. You know and they redesigned the offense. You know, to cater to him. You know, and they went from back in that time, if you remember, the Washington Redskins were doing it. You know, they had John Riggins, and
but he was a big, bulky kind of guy. He was not that.
Yeah, but they were going to more of like a one-back offense, and the other person, you know, whatever, it was sort of a quasi tight end to a fullback position, and I ended up filling that role, you know, on the team. You know, especially and it worked out very well for me, you know, because John liked to run the ball a lot and. You know, Eric was the main guy who was going to be doing that, but because of my versatility, I could line up on a wing, you know, or I could line up in the backfield. I could go out on passes in the backfield. I could line up on that wing, and you know, do what a tight end does, you know, type of thing. The way they do it now, how to utilize tight ends and such. So I was able to fill a lot of roles, you know, on the team for one person, and if you can do that. You become more valuable because that gives them more spots that they could keep players, you know, for other positions and that. So
you're the lead blocker for Eric Dickerson, and the first thing that I was thinking before I first met you, and I knew I was going to meet you, is I was expecting to see this big, burly, bruising guy. With all due respect, Mike, you're not that big. So, like, what was your playing weight? 6'1", 210, something like that?
I was probably the heaviest I ever was. I think when I played was I was about 6'2", and I was like 218, around there. And I was not going to do some of the other things, other than just working out, you know, to try to get bigger.
Right.
You know, which was
called steroids.
Which was prominent, yeah.
Growth hormone.
Yeah, to do the.
That's right. It was at that time.
There was a lot of that going on.
And it was legal, or just wasn't illegal.
I mean,
I just think like Lyle Alzado is the one that comes to my mind.
There was a number of players, where you think of with that, but there's a lot of guys who did those kind of things.
Right.
And I just said to myself, I'm not going to do that. If I can't do it with what God gave me, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
You know, type of thing. If this isn't good enough, so I had to learn how to play at a probably not as big or as other people were who did what I did. You know, so it worked out. You know, it worked out. But I was not. I was 218. That was probably the heaviest I was.
It's just I'm just surprised by it. I would have expected a much bigger guy.
Yeah.
To thinking in the 240 to 250 range.
And today, you would even think of that today. Even back then, you know, a lot of that position was filled by people who were a little bit more mass to them than what I.
Well, like you said, John Riggins. I just remember John Riggins being a bruising back.
Yeah, he was. Well, John was, probably 235, 240, around there. Eric was probably 220.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was.
Was he tall?
Yeah, he was taller than I was. Yeah, he was probably like 6'2.5", 6'3".
That's unusual anymore, isn't it? I mean, you see it now with Derrick Henry, but.
Well, back then there were bigger backs, that they had. You did have, you think of like an Emmitt Smith, and he's not that tall either. But back then, you had Eric Dickerson. You had Chuck Muncie, who played for the Chargers. Or the Vikings. You had the league had more taller backs than at the time.
I'm surprised.
And then it went to a little more the
seems like you see all these
stockier,
little guys,
shorter guys.
Well, Saquon Barkley, how tall is he?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's maybe 5'10".
Yeah, is he that tall? Okay,
I'd probably say that. Yeah,
and not picking on Saquon Barkley at all. He's an absolutely fantastic back, but you just see a lot of those guys. Which, by the way, back when I played football, I never played it at the level you did. But I remember the little guys were the ones that were hard to tackle.
Yeah.
I mean, they're quick and their center of gravity is so much lower.
Well, think of Barry Sanders, and him and, his style of running back.
Was he a little guy? Was he little?
Oh yeah, Barry Sanders was not that tall.
Yeah.
I'd say he's 5'9",
Yeah.
whatever. But try to catch him,
Well, that's it.
and try to tackle him.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, it's different than a
Yeah.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
You get him
he was
under
a big bruising guy, or
Right.
John Riggins was a big bruising guy.
Jerome
He was
Bettis,
6'3".
probably the biggest bruising guy ever.
Yeah, he wasn't that tall though. I don't think he was
Bettis?
that tall. Yeah,
He wasn't. He was just this big, solid
he was
dude.
a big, solid, big, strong guy.
I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to tackle him.
No.
I'd like to be the safety.
Yeah.
And then he breaks through the line, and
Yeah,
now all of
you
a
see
sudden
that.
he's picking up steam.
Coming at you. Go ahead.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's right. I prefer my life over my job. That's funny. So, did you sustain any injuries, bad injuries when you were playing?
While I was playing in college, nothing that required surgery.
You're one of the few.
I broke my hand in a game, or broke my finger, I should say, in college. And I did have sustained a knee injury, but nothing that required surgery to do that, to repair it. I got injured in the NFL. Actually, it was against the Eagles. I tore my posterior cruciate ligament,
The PCO.
my PCL, in my right knee. And they don't do a reconstruction on that. They just sort of, the ACL is the real prominent.
Right.
They do a repair on. But I tore the PCL in there, and it just made my knee a little more loose. But I missed, I had to have surgery on it, and, I missed some time. And then, after that, I had another knee injury. Nothing, it was just sort of the deterioration that was starting to happen from the years and years of playing.
Beating yourself up all those years.
Yeah.
The people I feel worst with when it comes to knees are the baseball catchers.
Yeah.
How you can squat like that all day long, every day for that's tough on the knees. So
I had 3 knee surgeries, in my remainder of my career with the Rams.
all right, so it was in the pros that you had the surgeries.
Yeah.
Do you have today, would you say, any lasting injuries that came from playing football?
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I've had, since the knees, which I had while I was playing, I haven't had a replacement down there, but I had both my shoulders operated on, and then I had my right shoulder replaced, probably 2.5 years ago,
Oh, really?
3
Just
years
recent?
ago.
And
3 years ago,
you're
I had
crediting this to just the beating that you took in the NFL all those years?
Oh, without
Not just the NFL.
Not just the NFL, but I started playing when I was in the 5th grade.
Yeah.
Tackle football with equipment and everything like that. So the 21 years accumulation of all that over time.
Well, that raises 2 questions that I would like to ask you, and I think maybe what we can do is we can pick it up after the break, because I know the questions are basically going to be, you hear a lot of people saying kids should not play football. And secondly, I want to talk to you about the changes that they've made in the NFL to protect the players. So with that, we're going to take a break, and I'm going to start the next segment with that. So
Perfect.
stay tuned. We'll be back with you in just a few moments.
Do you keep up regularly with your investments? Where exactly are your hard-earned dollars going? Are you financially prepared for an emergency?
I'm Mike Menninger, founder of Menninger & Associates Financial Planning. We believe that education and knowledge are powerful, and we want our clients to understand why we are making the recommendations that we make. It's your money, and you deserve to know where it's going, because it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. So call us today to discuss your financial concerns. Welcome back to Financial Planning Explained, the final segment of our 4-part series with Mike Guman, and been absolutely enjoying this interview. Mike, again, thank you very much for this. Glad I got to know you. I'm glad I consider you a friend.
Likewise, Mike.
We left off the last episode talking about, your potential lasting injuries, sport. I was once said it's not a contact sport. it's a collision sport, which are two very different things, okay? But there are parents who don't want their kids to play football because they think it's dangerous, or maybe not at that young age. You care to, reflecting back on your long career as well as changes you've seen, how would you respond to that?
I agree with you. It is a dangerous sport, first of all, at any age, young or old with it. There's always trade-offs, there's benefits that you get from it, and there's risks that you take with anything that you're going to do in life. For young kids today, I think they've changed enough of it. I think a lot of kids are playing flag football. They're starting out with playing flag football up to a certain age. What's the right age when you should be allowed to play tackle football? I think is a great question. I don't know the answer to that.
Right.
I think if I was doing it again when I was in 5th grade, I think that's too young.
Okay.
I think that's too young. I
Well,
think here you haven't matured enough. I think you have to let the individual develop, the young boy develop. And now, you have girls playing some tackle football and such
Yeah.
too.
It's
So
impressive.
I don't want to, just say it's a all male sport by that degree. But I don't know the right answer, to when you should start playing. I think that they try to protect the players better than they ever did.
Yes.
With that, when you look at the way the equipment has been enhanced over the years, with the advancement of the helmet and the protection and things like that. That's a scarier thing with the sport is, all these things in the tests with the CTE, and I lost a good friend.
CTE is
Chronic traumatic encephalopathy.
okay.
Which is the deterioration of your brain
From getting all the concussions.
from the, or not even the concussions, just the hits that you've sustained over the years.
Right.
With that, there was a lot of studies that are still being done on that, up at Boston University and such, and the leading into dementia at earlier ages
Right.
for players and things like that, which are scary when you
Oh,
now,
absolutely.
especially now when you get to the age that you've gone through it, and I'm at that stage of my life, where you worry about that kind of stuff. You start forgetting things, and you say, "Oh, geez, is this?"
By the way, I didn't play professional football. I'm younger than you. I forget things.
Yeah, I know. So I think the benefits that all sports give you far outweigh, when they're done properly, far outweigh, some of the risks that you take with playing. And they are trying, even, at the midget football level, the high school level, they're trying, to protect the players as much as they possibly can. They've changed, as we were talking to it earlier in some of our other segments, with, how often you can wear pads, how often you're hitting.
Right, in
this
practices. Well, we've had people in
And those-
Pennsylvania die during
Yes.
summer workouts in high school.
Yes, I know we
And
have.
So that's, been an issue. And
So there are changes that are happening, and I think having the right people there, as your coaches, and having them
right.
educated and informed on all these things, I think is critical, for the sport and for the sport to continue. America loves football.
That's correct.
They love it, and it's not going to go away. It's not going to get banned or anything like that. And like for me personally, the benefits that I got from playing, I think, far outweigh, the knee injuries or the shoulders or the things like that. If I could do it all over again, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
That's right. Well, let's put it this way. I don't have the same 13-year football career that you had, and my knees are bothering me too.
Yeah.
So, to your point, they've done a lot of things, which I am all for, to protect the players, whether it be mostly with the helmets, okay, is what I found. However, they've changed a lot of the rules of the game. And there are skeptics out there, of course, the people who watch it on Sunday, love to see the big hits and love to see a lot of these things. But and they're saying that they've made the game too easy. Of course, never easy. I do like the targeting that they have in college. Okay, that's a very stiff penalty. You could be ejected for that, and that's protecting the head of another player, a defenseless or another player. Absolutely agree with that, and I love the fact that they have a very stiff penalty, ejected from the game. I think that's great. They've changed a few things that, they're changing the kickoffs, they're changing onside field thing, onside kick things. I know they've changed some rules about hitting the quarterback, and every once in a while they stretch the rules too far that it's almost favoring the quarterback.
Right.
It's changing the game a little bit. All in all, how do you feel about it?
I think I agree with the changes that they've done. I understand what you're saying. I feel that same way sometimes too when I said, oh, come on, he didn't do anything that warranted an ejection or warranted a flag or whatever. That's football.
That's right.
That's how we think about it. And you think about it the way the game had to be played. But I do think it's all still in the best interest of the players. And I think that, it'll keep moving in that direction.
And I think it's a good thing. And, particularly with protecting the head injury.
Yes.
Because to your point, the CTE, there are a lot of players, think about Muhammad Ali, punch drunk. I don't know, did he develop Parkinson's, or was Parkinson's a
result of the hits in the head?
Right, okay.
Yes.
Chicken and the egg, you don't know. But obviously there's been a lot of research on that. And there's been a lot of research. There's been just a lot of observations with it that it's evident. You play in the league for a number of years, you're sustaining some damage.
Yeah, yes you are. Yes you are. It's just sort of the nature of the beast. And you said it so appropriately at the beginning of this segment, basketball is a contact sport. Football is a collision sport.
It's more than a collision.
It's a big difference.
And it's intended to be a collision.
I forget who even said it, but some of the games you come out of, you feel like you were in a car wreck.
Right.
And it takes you, it would be, not till Tuesday or Wednesday till you felt, like you could, get out there and really practice hard again and do that.
And so
the soreness and magnitude of the hits.
So you probably, more than me or most other non-players, can appreciate the impact of playing a Monday game and coming back 6 days later, or coming to a Thursday game. Yeah. You've only had 4 days.
Yeah.
Is that tough to come to a Thursday? Did you have Thursday games back then?
No, we didn't.
All right.
We didn't. It was hard enough going from a Monday night game.
Right.
We'd play, let's say we played the Eagles on Monday night here in Philadelphia. And you'd play here, and then you come back and you got to play on Sunday. Because, you leave right after the game's over. Well, we're going back, we're flying across country, 6-hour plane flight, going back to California. And then, you're jet lagged from all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Plus the game. And, then it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You really, you got a couple days really to prepare then and just make sure you're mentally, for your practice for the game and then to be prepared to play the team you're playing that next week. They were hard.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That's hard to try to do.
I would imagine the first couple of days could be a little more classroom type stuff, looking at film and things
like that.
Yeah,
walkthroughs on the field. They would give you a break a little bit. You wouldn't be out there, going that hard. You'd be in probably just helmets and shorts or something like that, for a little bit. Mostly just sort of walk through, going through the plays, what they're doing on defense and things like that. You'd maybe have one hard practice that week, if you played. And that was I couldn't imagine, Sunday to Thursday. That's a hard game.
So is it what we all say when we're watching, just give him a needle and he'll be fine, and put him back in the game again? Does that happen? I mean, I would imagine. I just think about it. The one thing I can really appreciate is on 2 separate occasions in my lifetime, one worse than the other, both of them were bad, I broke my ribs. Mm-hmm. I broke my ribs right here. I can almost feel it to this day, and it was 25 years ago. And I thought about when Michael Vick broke his ribs and they said he's going to wear a flak jacket. I'm thinking to myself,
how is he going to do that?
I couldn't breathe for 3 weeks. how you got, because if I'm a linebacker,
Yeah.
sad to say, if I know that the quarterback, I'm running to the quarterback, I see bullseye on his ribs.
Yeah.
Do they do a lot of that? Just inject a painkiller or whatever? Is that just a wives' tale?
I think maybe back in the day, you might have had some of that going on, but I don't think a lot of that is happening.
No, not even just pain medication?
Oh, well, pain medication.
Even if it's local?
Oh, yeah, well, as far as an injection with that, I mean, that the medical team, they're doctors and they got a fiduciary responsibility,
Okay.
for that. I, as long as it will not potentially damage the existing injury that's there, then I think maybe there
Right.
might be something that they'll do. I mean, our guys pop in, Advil or anti-inflammatories and
Sure.
things like that. I mean, yeah, that's happening a lot.
Oh, of course.
That's happening a lot. But
But I look at it as a business, okay? And as a business, if I'm the owner and my star player's down, that could be costing me millions if we don't make it to the playoffs and hey, doctors, just get him to be good enough to go out on the field. As long as it's not going to impact him and it's like, I don't care about you. I care about my team. I care about winning. And you're right. I don't want to make it so that I'm damaging your knee because I want you for next year.
mm-hmm.
But if I can give you a shot and make you play through the game,
yeah, there's obviously a lot of judgment that goes on with any injury or in the whole game with those kind of things. I mean, I don't think that the decision always should, and I believe it always does, focus around the best interests of the player.
I hope that's the case.
And it should, and I'd be shocked if it doesn't.
Okay.
If it doesn't.
Well, I'm glad I'm wrong on that one because
Yeah,
that seems.
I don't think that's the case. I think they have to, and just the medical team and there is always in the best interest of the player. For that.
I'm glad to hear that.
If the player, if he's got a hamstring or he tweaked his ankle or something like that, and he says, yeah, I think I can go, I can do it. Tape it up a little better and do it. I mean, yeah, that's something different.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
that's
if
different.
there's a real risk for,
Sure.
then
But the pains and ribs,
But
you do
it's sort of
nothing for
programmed, into the player that, for most of the guys, I think it's, you there's always something that's hurting you,
that. Right.
especially when you're playing a 17-game schedule.
I know it.
There's always something that's going to be bothering you. Coach Paterno always used to say there's a difference between, whether you're injured or you're hurt.
Right.
You got to be able to play when you're hurt.
Right.
You can't play when you're injured.
Right. It's a good analogy.
And everybody plays when they're hurt. Everybody plays when they're hurt. You got to be able to do that or you're not going to last
Right.
in the league, because that's every game.
That's a
bothering
good
you.
analogy. So let's wrap this 4-part series up with this question. What, if you could change anything, and I don't want to say, well, I would rather do, what would you have done differently, whether it be in the high school days, approaching college, in the college days, the transition into the pros, the pro days, and we didn't even talk about, you had a career after football, but what would you say you would change or do differently?
It's interesting. Honestly, really, I would do nothing differently. I feel very blessed, with the life I've had, with the career I've had, with football and all the other sports I played too. I was fortunate enough to play baseball in college, and I wouldn't trade that for anything too, for the 3 years that I was able to do that. So, it happened the way it was supposed to happen, and I'm very content and at peace with that. So I wouldn't do anything different. I really wouldn't.
Here's your prediction. Is it different? Totally off to finish it off. Does Saquon Barkley pass Eric Dickerson's record? And should it have an asterisk if it takes him 17 days? 17
You know
games?
what? I love Eric. I love the fact that he's owned the record. Records are made to be broken.
Right.
If anybody's going to break it, I'd rather have Saquon Barkley break it, a Penn State guy, a guy from the Lehigh Valley.
Yep.
I'd rather have him do it than anybody else. And honestly, I hope he does.
Yeah.
I hope he does. If it's a 17 game season, I think he certainly will do it in the 17 games.
Right.
I think he'll do that as long as he stays healthy here for the remainder of the season.
Well,
You know,
Eric's
with that.
record's in 16 games, correct?
Eric's is in 16,
And he passed OJ, which was 14.
which was 14.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
So, Mike,
Yeah. It's a pleasure.
thank you very much. This is
this was a lot
it's
of
a
fun.
privilege
Thank you.
for me to have you. And before I go, I just want to congratulate Mike. He was elected to the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame with a lot of other big names. He was just inducted into the Hall of Fame just a couple weeks ago. Congratulations to you for that as well.
Thank you. It was quite an honor.
That's
Thanks,
good.
Mike.
Well, thank you very much for joining us for this 4-part series. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I think this is terrific, and I'll have you on my show anytime.
Thank you.
All right, very good. Well, thank you very much for joining. You have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time.